Okay, welcome to our cookie class today, everybody. It's our first one in our Bake-a-thon cookie series. So we're gonna do whatever mix-ins you want. We're gonna get really creative today. I think at this point, everybody on the call knows me, but if you don't, I'm Kelly. I'm Culikid's executive director. Culikid is a nonprofit based in New York City, and we provide healthy culinary programs for people of all ages and abilities. And our programs teach cooking, but also healthy habits, social independence, and motor skills. Our class is being recorded so that way we can share it with people afterwards. If you don't want to be in that recording, go ahead and turn your camera off. As always, it's really a lot more fun and easy to see if we can see what you're doing. But just let us know if you don't want to be in that. Upcoming, we have s'more cookies, and that's on October. Whew, that's way too ahead of time. August 6th. That one will be free as well. And then we have fruit popsicles on August 13th. Okay, if you're not part of our Bake-a-thon, you want to be, a link will be sent to you later. You bake cookies, you ask people to sponsor you, you raise money for Culikid. It's all just a win-win. And we heard from Caitlin, who was plugging away at cookies, that she shared her cookies with the people who donated. So great idea to incentivize people, and great job baking, Caitlin. So you're all muted. If you have questions, you can unmute yourself. But we also want to use the chat, and I especially want to hear what we're all making today so I can understand what we need to do as far as our mixing goes. So tell us your name and what cookies you're making in the chat. I'm going to tell you too. So I am going to be making toffee bite and pretzel cookies. If anybody's had Christina Tozzi's Milk Bar compost cookies, I was inspired by that. So we can get super creative. Pretzels, you could put in chips, you could put in different types of chocolate. Okay, Melissa's doing chocolate chip and non-chocolate chip for the dogs. Wow, lucky dogs. Awesome. I have my dog here too, who is hopefully going to behave herself, but maybe not. Oh, here she is. Go away, please. Okay. Oh, and M&Ms. Nice. Okay. Kaylee, chocolate chip cookies. Nice. Veronica will make blanks and some chocolate chips. Nice. Okay. Chocolate chips is popular. Anybody else want to share? Chocolate chip and M&Ms. Great, great, great. Okay, so it doesn't sound like anybody needs to do any chopping. So I'm going to save my pretzel crunching for the end and clear out my cutting board. All right, so to get started, what we're going to do is preheat our oven, and we're going to get our baking sheets ready. If you guys are like, no, it's too hot, go ahead and preheat your ovens at the end. Your cookies can wait. You can put your cookies in the fridge in between. So it's up to you. If you don't mind, your house is cool enough, go ahead and put that oven on to 350 degrees. Okay. And then while you are doing that, I'm going to throw those links into the chat that I said would be there. Oh, and then Noah's doing Oreo and vanilla wafer chocolate chip. That is very creative. I want to hear how those come out. Okay. So I just sent the link for our upcoming classes, the link for our Bake-a-thon information. And then also, if you take pictures, tag us on social media if you post them, or send them to us at info@culikid.org. That's in there. But you actually all have my email too. So we love seeing pictures. We love them. Oven is preheating to 350 degrees. And then the other thing you can do is get your baking sheet ready if you're going to be baking right away. So I just have a piece of parchment paper here to help them from sticking. And or you could use nonstick cooking spray. Okay. All right. Oven's preheated, baking sheets ready. Let me know with a thumbs up when you're ready to move on. How many cookies does this make? It's about 30 cookies. So that will depend on your size, I believe. I don't remember the last time I made this, if it was quite so many. But definitely at least 2 batches. So you can line 2 baking sheets if you have them. I usually bake them in batches, so I just do one at a time. But yeah, it will definitely be at least 2 sheets. Okay, and does everybody have softened butter? It should be very soft. I'm gonna do this by hand just to show like you can do it with no tools. If your butter is kind of soft and you have an electric mixer, you can use that. And if you are doing it by hand and your butter isn't quite so soft, look at how soft mine is. You can put like your finger into it, right? And it changes shape. That's what we want if you're doing it by hand. If it's not there, because we do want it super soft, you can microwave it for a couple seconds until it gets to that point. Nice, that looks like cream butter already.
Oh no, that's just when you haven't gotten it together and we grated it. So
Oh, okay, that's a great idea.
the other mamas without a lot of prep ahead, there you go.
There's always solutions. That's what I love. Thank you for sharing. So I'm assuming ovens are preheated if we want them, baking sheets are ready, and let's get started with our butter and sugar. So our big bowl, we're gonna get 2 sticks of butter in there if you're making the full batch. So 2 sticks, which equals 1 cup. So if anybody's doing vegan butter and has to scoop or just has scoopable butter anyway, let me get this down to my station. 2 sticks in. Okay. I'm gonna throw out my wrappers and wash my hands since they're a little greasy. Yeah, I almost forgot to take out my butter too, and it was from the freezer, so I put it in my non-air conditioned room to give it a head start. So that's the bonus of these very hot days. Okay, so 2 sticks of butter in. It looks like probably everybody is ready for next steps. Awesome, thank you for the thumbs up. All right, we're gonna do go on to our sugar. So brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup. So I have a 3/4 cup measuring cup, but if you don't, you can do 1/2 cup and then 1/4 cup. Okay, so I put that into the chat just in case you wanted that reminder. Not every set comes with the 3/4, so we do a little bit of math when we're baking and cooking. And for our brown sugar, unlike our other ingredients, we're gonna pack it, meaning we put the sugar in and then we push it down with our fingers, and we're acting now like we're making a sandcastle, right? So when you make a sandcastle, you have that wet sand and you push it in to fill all of the crevices. And when this comes out, it will be like that. You'll have a full cup retaining its shape. Okay, so it's nice and packed all the way to the top, and then you can flip it out into your hand usually, and it will just stay. And you can flip it out right into your bowl. But there you go. Tidy up a little bit. And the dog has made an appearance trying to get the crumbs. All right, when you've got 3/4 in, let's see a thumbs up. So I know you're ready for the next ingredient. Thank you, Kaylee, Judson, Veronica, Caitlin, great. And Noah, awesome, great. You guys are so on top of things. All right, now we're gonna do our regular white sugar or granulated sugar, and that one's gonna be half a cup. Okay, so 1/2. And this one we can just, this is nice and easy. We're gonna scoop into the bag. Okay, and then pour it into our bowl. We can tidy as we go. So anything that we're done with, you can put to the side or put away. We're done with our sugars. Okay. So that's half a cup of white sugar, and keep going at your own pace. Yes, the dog made an appearance again. She'll keep coming back. So thank you for the shout out. Her name is Scarlett. And now she probably thinks that she should come over and say hello again. So you'll see her throughout for all the crumbs that I'm dropping on the floor. Keep going. If you haven't gotten your sugar in, go ahead and do that at your own pace, but especially for anybody mixing by hand, let's get started. We want a super sturdy wooden spoon. You know, the like rubber spatulas are a little bit harder for mixing butter if it's not as soft. So we want a really sturdy spoon. And I'm starting just kind of by breaking things up. Mine is nice and soft. If you need to put a little bit of muscle in there, I'm kind of using the back of the spoon to like push everything together, scrape the sides. We want it to all look the same. So we know we'll be done when we don't see any dry sugar and when we don't see any butter on its own. Okay, and if anybody's using electric, just mix until they're creamed together and it's like a nice fluffy, light mixture. Okay, mine's almost there, but I have this chunk of butter that I need to incorporate. So I'm working very specifically on that area. And then make sure to scrape off your spoon. So you'll see like on my spoon, I kind of have some butter up at the top. So we'll scrape that off, give one more mix, and then mine will be done for the next steps. So that's kind of how it should look. It's like this very pale brown color, all the same. And from touching my batter, I need to wash my hands again. And then I'll see how you're all doing. Okay. Thumbs up when you're all mixed. No pressure if you're still going. I see we got some taste testing going on already. Everyone's hard at work. Keep going. You got this. This is the hardest mixing part. So once you get past here, everything else is going to get easier. Awesome, thank you. Thanks, Veronica. Okay, Kaylee and Caitlin, let me know with a thumbs up when you're ready. Keep going, no worries, we got plenty of time. And reminder, no matter how you're mixing, this is what you want it to look like, okay? So once it's there, you're done, as long as you don't see any streaks of butter and dry sugar. Hi, welcome to Olivia who just joined. We've done so far our butter and sugar and mixed them together. I'm going to put the measurements into the chat for you. Okay, so butter, preheat your oven to 350. And then I'm going to put the measurements of what we've done so far in the chat so you can be caught up. Okay, so get those into one bowl and mix them together. We're gonna move on for everybody else and hopefully you can get caught up to us. Okay, so is everybody ready to do our egg? Kaylee, are you done mixing? Thumbs up if you are. Yes, okay, cool. All right, so when we do an egg, I always like to do it into a separate bowl because if we have any eggshell, it's a lot easier to get out from here than in our bowl here. Also, there's a chance that you might have like a bad egg. I've never had that, but of course other people have. So we're gonna use our separate bowl. So when we're cracking our egg, the best way to do it is on a flat surface like the counter instead of on the side of your bowl to minimize the possibility of eggshells. And when we do it, we're gonna give the pressure of like a soft knock on the door. So like you're gonna do that with your egg 2 or 3 times at that pressure. Not too soft, but there it doesn't break, and not too hard that it cracks all over the counter. All right, so watch me and then you go. So 1, 2, I have this crack. And then I'm taking my fingers right at the crack and breaking it apart right over the bowl. And then that way I got no eggshells, a nice even crack. If I did, the easiest way to get an eggshell out is actually with the eggshell. So if you do, you can scoop out the eggshell with your side of the eggshell. It's a little bit easier than with your fingers where it might get like all sliding around and everything. So everybody go ahead and do that now. It's just 1 egg into your separate bowl and make sure that you don't get any eggshells in there. If you got egg on your hands, wash them because you don't want to touch anything with the raw eggs and you don't want to put your hands near your mouth. Okay, and then give a thumbs up when you are done with that egg. Okay, I think I saw Kaylee and Veronica.
So we go ahead and put it in, you said?
Yep, you can put it into your butter mixture if you've checked for your eggshells and all of that. And then you can just give it a mix until it's just combined. Okay, so I'm gonna break up my yolk a little bit and then just mix around the bowl until you incorporate that egg into your mixture. So it looks more or less the same, maybe like a little bit looser, glossier, but I don't have any egg not incorporated. That's how I know it's done. So give me a thumbs up when you are at that step. Your egg is mixed in. Thank you, Kaylee and Veronica. And Noah, thank you. Okay, and Caitlin, you just returned, we just added an egg. So crack an egg and add it to your butter mixture and mix. Nice. Nice, thank you. Okay, I see Caitlin just went in, so we are good to move on to the next step too. All right, we're gonna set this aside for a little bit. We're gonna work on our dry mixture. So that's gonna go into a separate bowl. Okay, so our next dry ingredients are gonna go into an empty bowl, and then we'll put it in into our butter. So set that aside, grab an empty bowl. Okay. The flour will be the first thing we work on, and it will be 1 3/4 cups. So you might need to reuse the cup you used for your brown sugar. And then the other thing you want to grab is a spoon for scooping the flour. So I'm going to show you how we're going to measure our flour a little bit differently than our sugar, for example. I'm going to put this into the chat too, just so we don't get confused, because there are two things: cups, flour, and empty bowl. Okay. So for our flour, the best way to measure it is actually to spoon it in and then level it off. So if we were to take our cup and scoop it in, it would be too packed down. So the best way that we are going to do it is scooping it in like this. So hopefully you guys can all see me. I'm working on my 1 cup first. So I'm just scooping, and then we're going to scoop it until it's heaping over. Okay, so it's over the cup line. And then I'm going to take the back of my spoon and level it off like this. And that's how you get the perfect 1 cup of flour. And it can go into your empty bowl. I just want to make sure that I'm right on this, because I have 2 cookie recipes in my head right now. So, okay, 1 3/4. And then we're going to do that same thing again for the 3/4. Okay, so we're going to scoop it in with a spoon. And I'm scooping and leveling right over my flour container so I don't make that much of a mess. Nice and even, and into our bowl. Done with our flour. Okay, let me see a thumbs up when you're done measuring your flour. Okay, awesome. Jetson's, Noah, Veronica. I see Kaylee is still working and Caitlin's working, so no rush on that. Take your time. Okay, the other way that bakers especially like to measure their ingredients is with a scale, but I know most people don't have scales and I certainly don't. So that's the best way that we get our measurements, even though most accurate is weighing it. So if anybody's like super wants to be really into baking, get a scale. Okay, so as a reminder, 1 3/4 cups of flour, which could be up to like 3 measurements if you don't have a 3/4 cup. So take your time if you're still working. Okay, Kaylee and Caitlin, get a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, cool. Thanks, Kaylee. Caitlin, awesome. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. So we're using both baking powder and baking soda. For our baking powder, which is usually in a round container, we're doing 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, so we have our 1/2 teaspoon, and this has this nice little lip that helps you even it out. So you scoop it in, oops. You scoop it in and then you can just drag it across the top and you have an even 1/2 teaspoon and it goes in with your flour. Okay, and we're going to use that 1/2 teaspoon again. Thank you, Veronica. All right, we're going to use that 1/2 teaspoon again. We're going to do salt. So you can pour your salt, but it might come out fast. So if you want to, you can pour some of it into a bowl and then scoop it like that. Or you can pour if you think you have a steady hand and can do that nice and carefully. So we have a nice 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then the last one we're going to do is baking soda, and that's a 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm putting these 3, including the baking soda, into the chat. And when you have those 3 done, give me a thumbs up. So baking soda is similar to the baking powder where you can scoop in and then scrape it across the top and you have a nice even scoop and you put it in with your flour. Okay. So you should have flour, salt, baking powder, and baking soda in your bowl. And when you have that, give me a thumbs up. Thanks, Kaylee, Veronica, Judsons, Caitlin, and Noah. Cool, you guys are speedy. My favorite way to mix the dry ingredients is with a whisk. So nothing gets clumped together with a spoon. So grab your whisk and we're just gonna mix this around until it's combined. Okay, so we're just going around, going in the middle. You wanna go slow enough that you're not splattering flour everywhere. Okay, and that should be about enough. So I forgot to have us put our vanilla into our wet ingredients. So when we get back to our wet ingredients, we're going to do vanilla extract next, and then we'll add our flour mixture. So when you have your flour mixture mixed, and you have your butter mixture back in front of you, give me a thumbs up. Cool, cool, cool. I think that was mostly everybody. Did I miss anybody? Okay, cool. Vanilla is going to be 2 teaspoons. So we have a teaspoon vanilla extract, and trying to get that open. There we go. All right, hold it over the bowl and just pour it. Usually comes out like in these little like dribbles. You get to the top and pour it in. And we're going to do that twice. Pour in. Okay, so that's in with our butter mixture. And just give it a quick mix till that's incorporated. Okay. So that should just be an easy, quick mix. And then you can add your flour, okay? So we're just gonna pour our flour over our butter. So you don't have too much stuff to the side. And now we're going to mix again, all right? So this is kind of like what we call folding. So you're scraping the bottom and folding it on top. Okay, I gotta scrape my sides down a little bit. And if you're using an electric mixer, make sure to start off slow at first so it doesn't splatter that flour everywhere. Okay, and we're almost done, but you can see I still have some like dry flour at the top. So we know it's not completely done. We're gonna keep mixing until everything looks the same. All right. Right, so now we've got our cookie dough base. That's what we should have at the end. I've got to wash my hands because I got cookie dough all over them. I'm gonna come back and see where you all are. Okay, thumbs up when you're done mixing everything together. Cool, Kaylee and Caitlin and the Jetsons and Noah. Okay, and Veronica, did you just finish up? Yes, okay, I see it behind the tasting spoon. All right, cool. This is where we get to put in our mix-ins. So it's no exact science now. The science part is already done. We wanted exact measurements for all of this, but now you can put in as much or as little as you want. So I'm gonna aim for about 2 cups total. So it depends on how much you're putting in, how many different types of mix-ins you're putting in. I'm putting in 2, so it's gonna be about a cup of each. You can measure them out. You can go by sight. If you have like a typical cookie chocolate chip bag, you can probably put that whole thing in. If it's like, I think about like 12 ounces or something like that. So I have my chopped up toffee. And then I'm going to crush up some pretzels by hand.
we're doing this stuff.
Somebody have a question?
Yeah. You have a question? Why is this stuff?
I'm sorry. What's the question? Can you repeat that? I think that was Olivia. If you have a question, I didn't hear you, so unmute again or type it into the chat.
I didn't answer a question.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Ow.
Has anybody ever had Milk Bar compost cookies? No, that's where I got this idea from. So it's like they put in everything. So that's like whatever you have, get creative. I think they do pretzels, like potato chips, like 3 different types of chocolate chips. They've got coffee in there. It's very good. But it's inspired me to get a little more creative myself. All right. So when you have your mix-ins, and if you haven't done it already, you just want to fold it to incorporate it. So if you've been mixing with an electric mixer, go ahead and do this part by hand. And you do want to make sure that like you're scraping the bottom and everything, so that way you have it all equally incorporated and every cookie tastes just as full and delicious as all of them. Okay, so keep mixing. We're not going to move on yet. I'm just going to talk to you about some of your options. So normally I would be fine with just scooping this onto a sheet tray and baking right away. My batter is super soft. We started with very soft butter and it's very hot. So it's very, very soft. So if I scooped it into the tray, it would still bake fine. But when you have very, very soft butter, your cookies are going to spread very easily. So if that's the kind of cookie you want, you can go ahead and scoop them onto the tray and get them baking right now. Okay, so you would scoop, put on a tray, bake. I'll give you the time in a minute. That's going to give you really wide, flat cookies, and they'll probably get crispier than other cookies. I am going to put my cookies in the fridge before baking. And the reason for that is if we have colder butter, if our batter stays colder, our cookies are going to spread more slowly in the oven. So we'll have slightly thicker cookies and they'll be chewier and less crispy. So that's the kind of cookie I've decided that I want. Now from there, you could take this and put it right into the fridge like this, and then scoop out your cold batter. Or you could scoop your batter and put it on a plate or tray and put it in the fridge so it's already pre-scooped. And then the last thing you want to keep in mind is that you could also freeze cookies either when they're baked, or you could freeze them in cookie dough balls. Okay, so it's going to be much easier if you freeze them in already pre-made cookie dough balls, and then you can like throw them into a bag once they're frozen, then freezing all of the batter. So those are all your options right now. Does anybody think that they're going to bake their cookies right now? They don't mind flat crispy cookies. Okay, cool. And then everybody else might want to put them in the fridge first. So you can, again, scoop now onto a plate, put in the fridge, or you can just put your whole thing into the fridge. For people who are scooping, we want to do a few things. So I've got my cookie scooper. I don't know if everybody has one. Okay, so this is nice and easy because we scoop it out, we release it, and it's done. Okay, so I scoop it. I kind of use my bowl to press it against, and then I put it on my tray where I want it, and I'm done. Okay, so you want to make sure when you're putting these, you're spacing them out properly. You want to have at least usually 1 inch to 2 inches between cookies. because they'll probably spread more, you might want to do even more spread out. Okay, so like that. And if you don't have a cookie scoop, you can use any other type of spoon you have. And then if you're using like a typical spoon, you just want to try to get the same amount for every cookie. Okay, and then you probably need to use your finger to drop it onto the tray like that, which is how I've always made cookies growing up, and there's no shame in it, and they get all different sizes and they're all delicious and wonderful. So these are how spread out my cookies are, right? So we want to make sure they have a lot of room to spread, and these are not that big of cookies. So I'm going to keep scooping mine because I'll put mine in the fridge like this. So I'll keep scooping with you. For anybody who's baking later, again, you can do the same thing. Or you can put the whole bowl in the fridge and then scoop out your cold dough, okay? So usually you would see that in a recipe if you need to like roll the dough. So this isn't something that we could roll. So if you needed to roll the dough, they would have you put in the fridge in the bowl and then scoop it out. So it was like, so you're able to move it around. Okay, and then freezing, if anybody's like, this is too many cookies for me to eat right now and I don't want them to go bad. Once they're baked, you can freeze them. And then also you can freeze them like this and you can put them right into the oven. I want to make sure you all know our baking times in case anybody's like, I'm just going to put them in the fridge and I'm hopping off. We are going to bake them for about 10 to 12 minutes. You always want to check on the shorter side, so check it at 10 minutes, and you can always add time, but you can't take away. Okay, because like underbaked cookies we can deal with, but burnt cookies aren't the best. Everybody's oven is different, and then it will depend on the temperature of your dough too. As we're scooping, let me know if you have any questions. And remember, I'm putting mine so close because they're going into the fridge. Mine aren't going to bake like this. Otherwise, it would just be like one big cookie pie, which might sound good, but will probably also bake off the edge into my oven. So. And remember, if you're in our bake-a-thon, to count how many you end up with, because you have to log those in for your total. When I send our follow-up email, I'll send you information about that in case you don't know how to log them yet. All right, gotta get these out of here to make room. How's everybody doing? If you have a tray that's done and ready to go in the oven, you can put it in when your oven is preheated. And remember, you want to set a timer for about 10 minutes, and depending on how big your cookies are, it could be 10 to 12, maybe a little bit longer. Okay. Anybody not sold on the cookie scoop, I highly recommend if you like baking cookies. It just like makes this so easy. It's like one-handed process here compared to like a much messier two-handed process. So like you just have this quick release. I highly recommend, especially if you like making cookies often enough.
Say bye, Kelly. Thank you.
Are you guys leaving? Bye. All right, 10 minutes. Let us know how those cookies come out.
Flat.
Perfect.
Yes, we'll snip across them. That'll be wonderful.
Yes,
Thanks,
exactly,
everybody.
exactly.
Good to see you.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye. Anybody else is leaving, feel free if you're all ready to go. If you're going in the oven, 350, 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, sorry. Could be 15 if you have big cookies. All right, I'm doing my last couple scoops here. My last scoop, all done. Now I gotta wash my hands, see how we all are. And if you're going in the fridge, and especially if they're all scooped out, you probably only need an hour, maybe even 30 minutes if you get impatient. If it's in the bowl, maybe you need a couple of hours. All right, so that will go in the fridge a little bit later. Is anybody still scooping? Have any questions?
I'm leaving now.
Okay, awesome. I think we're all ready to leave now, yeah?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye. Okay, the dog is back again. All right. Well, let me know how they come out. Send me pictures as always. And I think we're gonna see both of you, or oh, there's 3 people on at the next class, right? S'more cookies.
Thank
All
you,
right, well-
Kelly. Love it. And Melissa's so excited because cookies is one of her favorite things. And so
Mine too.
Baking and cooking.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see how they come out. Enjoy
It's
them.
like
Okay.
Noah's eaten. We busted Noah.
That's all right. It's a good snack. See you guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.